Welcome to our webinar today where we're going to be talking about our new product, the BuzzGraphic, and some other updates that we've been rolling out. I'm Chad Hill, and I'm joined by Adam Stetzer and the Rochester team.
Good afternoon, everybody. This is Adam here. Glad to be joining you. Exciting stuff today. And I've got with me in the room the account management team here at HubShout. Hello. Excited to get going here, Chad.
Me too. Well, this is going to be a good one because we get to talk about infographics, and infographics are definitely visual. So let's run through the agenda. We're going to talk about our BuzzGraphic product, and we've been building up an example library. Many of you have taken the offer of getting one at half price if you're willing to let us use it as an example. So we're going to walk through some of those today. We're going to talk about some of the promotion that we're doing of those infographics, and then some of the materials we put together to help you sell them. We're going to then talk a little bit about our SEO Link Outreach product, which in the previous webinars we called link neutralization, but we've decided to rename that a little bit. Go through, talk a minute about the premium writer and where we are with those updates, and then end up with a really cool new weekly email report that we're going to start sending out. So before we turn to the next slide and talk about some of the examples with BuzzGraphics, I do want to draw everyone's attention to the infographic on the right, which is one that we did for our daily brown bag last week. And we talk about why we love infographics. And so these stats are pretty good. And 90% of the information that we remember is based on visual impact. So infographics are obviously very visual. Basically, more than 85% of people will read the text on the infographic. 40% of people prefer visual representation to text. And then basically, we've got a 30-time more likely people are to read the quality infographic than the text. So a lot of metrics support why everyone is really interested in infographics. And let's talk more about some of the examples that we put together. So again, what we're talking about today is about 6 people volunteered to be a part of this example library creation project. And we had a good cross-section of different kinds of businesses. We had some e-commerce. The first one we're looking at here is actually a law firm. So law firms are always kind of tough, but I think we did a nice job with this one. So basically what we did is it's the title of the infographic is Avoiding Auto Accidents. On the left-hand side, you can see this is the blog post that we did on the client's website. And then on the right-hand side, I couldn't get the full infographic, but I got sort of a blow-up here of it that shows you then that we went out and put together a number of different facts about ways to avoid auto accidents, which includes, what kinds of distractions do people often, what distractions lead to accidents. So we said if you can avoid, obviously, drunk driving, speeding, and then, of course, distracted driving, which includes people using cell phones and whatnot. These are some of the leading causes to avoid accidents. Take a look at another one. So here's one we did for a reseller partner of ours. And the idea here was, can we use social media to predict the winner of the voice? So again, this is one of the things we want to do with infographics is try to get newsjack as much as possible. And for those of you who aren't familiar with that term, it's all about trying to tap into existing streams of interest out there. So there's a lot of online talk about this show, The Voice. So if we can get involved and engage in that stream, then we can get people who might see our content and, again, either engage and see the content and just from an audience standpoint get some brand impact, or ideally they might also even link to it, which of course is going to help us with building domain authority and ultimately getting more website traffic as well. So in this case, what we did is we went out and we tried to find some stats that we could use to kind of come up with a way of predicting the winner. What we found was that if we found the number of Twitter followers per contestant, the number of Facebook fans per contestant, and the number of reviews per contestant on iTunes, then if we average those 3 things together and tested it for season 3 and 4, those metrics were able to accurately predict the winner. So we went ahead and then used that to predict the winner for season 5, which our guess is it's going to be Caroline Pinnell. And I think actually last night they had some, or 2 nights ago or something, they had some the results being read, and we were very glad to see that the 3 that we predicted to win actually are still in the running. So far so good. We're on track to predict the winner using the social media approach. But the cool thing here is that then this was posted on the client's website, and we're going to talk about some of the promotion they did. They actually chose to do a press release to announce this and to get even more buzz going on this particular announcement. So that's pretty neat. Okay, here's another one, another lawyer. And I should say that the color palettes we're using are tied to the color palettes of the websites themselves. And this is something that we're trying to make it fit in with the brand, and if you scroll to the very bottom, it would have the client's logo. So we didn't intentionally want the 2 lawyers to be blue, but it just so happens that was their color palette. So in this particular case, this is a family lawyer, so we didn't want to talk about something sort of depressing like divorce rates. So what we talked about more was the evolution of parenting, and we pulled in a bunch of stats from Pew's family, the Pew Institute's family study or social study, and we were able to pull some other facts from a few other places and then build this infographic. So I should tell you that now as we, and I've got a couple more that we want to look at here. So we also have 2 that I'm not showing you the blog post, but here is an example of one that we did for an e-commerce site about sunglasses. The idea that we came up with them, and again we worked with the reseller, was they wanted an infographic that showed by brand the most popular style of sunglasses. So we're just showing the top part here, but below this we have, I think we have 2 or 3 other popular brands with their most popular sunglass for each women and men. So again, kind of a visually interesting thing. You can see their colors a little bit more bright. And then we've got one on the right here. This is actually for a locksmith. And again, this is the top part of the infographic. It goes down a lot further. But this one, we wanted to talk about where do people lose their keys, and where do people, what are the causes of people that, when do they lose their keys? So we tried to find some stats on just where people lose keys and information like that. Let me bounce back one slide here. I do want to point out that in addition to the infographic that we create, we are also writing this article. So what we're doing, and we'll talk about this in the process, is in addition to the infographic, we then also go back and write an article that sort of talks about all the data and facts that we found and presented in the infographic. I'm actually going to, in terms of selling it, we have created a sell sheet. It's listed on the website. If you search for sell sheets and on our site search in the forum, you should find the link to all of the sell sheets that are listed in there. If not, feel free to give us a call or give your account manager a call, fill a ticket. So there is a sell sheet on this. And then I also wanted to talk about then the promotion of it. So as part of the program, and I'll mention that our current pricing is $400 for $399 for a BuzzGraphic, and of that $399, actually $100 is being reserved for promotion, social media promotion. Now we found through our own testing and some preliminary testing with these beta examples that Twitter promotion tends to work the best. It's definitely more involved because we have to log into your client's Twitter account, set up the advertising program, let it run for $100, and then turn it off. So it's a little bit more involved than something like StumbleUpon or Reddit. But again, we're trying to find the thing that gets the best levels of engagement. So here's an example going back to the avoiding the auto accidents infographic. This is a tweet we put out. So we tweeted out infographic, leading causes of auto accidents and how you can avoid them. And then what we did, and you can see this is marked as a promoted tweet, so this is an example of what it looks like. But we've been finding that we're getting better engagement rates if we also take a small part of that infographic and actually stick it in the tweet, because Twitter recently started showing images in stream. So basically now we're getting a much larger part of someone's Twitter feed if we can get an image in there, which of course we're trying to promote this, so we want to make sure we get maximum bang for the buck. Now the numbers that are at the bottom of this slide, what they're showing is that we've been running this, we started running this today, and I believe we've spent about 50 of the $100. We've had 1,630 impressions. We've had 45 clicks one person have followed the lawyer, the GEKA, and so that gives us an engagement rate of 2.8%. So that's a pretty good engagement rate. Now, obviously, we don't know who and whether someone's going to create a link to this yet, but that's part of the process. And I can tell you from our own experience that we've been doing a daily brown bag where we record a video, we transcribe it, and then we also create an infographic. And again, not every day, but we have found that a number of our infographics are getting picked up and embedded in other marketing blogs with links back to HubShout, which of course is sort of the holy grail of this exercise here, is that we're creating super compelling content and then doing our best to promote it in a way that gets it embedded or talked about on other websites. So I want to talk a minute about the process, because this is something, it's been really interesting to watch us, and it's been exciting to be involved in the process. We have a daily meeting where we review the workflow and check in on all the different BuzzGraphics that are going through our process. The process starts with a client questionnaire, and like everything in online marketing or working in SEO, the more information we have up front, the better the job we do. So the client questionnaire asks about what kinds of sources are of interest to you, because we're looking for places we can go and get facts to support whatever infographics we decide to build. So that's the beginning part. We then meet and we do a little preliminary research, and we go and we look for different ideas, and then we sort of pitch a concept to the account manager and to the reseller partner so that they can buy in or not buy in before we go spend a lot of time doing research. So you get a concept pitch, and then basically from there, once that's approved, we then can go into the research mode where we go find the facts that support it, and we're finding, some cases around 10 or so, maybe a few less, a few more, but around 10 facts that we then use, and then we have you sign off, because again, we don't want to take it to the next step, which is infographic, without getting some level of sign off that this is the right direction. Once you agree, presumably by getting your client to also agree, then we go into production, infographic production. We start on the infographic first. Our design team builds an infographic, and then once it's done, an article is written about the infographic, and then both the infographic and the article are reviewed by our editor to make sure that there aren't any grammar errors or any other big issues. And then once that's done, it comes back to you for a second sign-off. You sign off on the concept and the general research. You then sign off on the final product. And then from there, when that's done, our development team posts it on the client website, like I showed you in the earlier few blog posts. And then once that's done, we promote it. So it's definitely a multi-step process, and it's, I'd say, going pretty well. We've had a few issues where people aren't getting the buy-in that we need early in the process, so we're having to rework some of the research, and also some of the fact research. We had originally assumed that it would take us an hour or so to put together the research. In some cases, it's been taking longer, so we're looking at that to make sure that as we structure the product, it's actually going to work as we have more and more people wanting this product. So, Adam, any questions from the group out there on this yet?
I think there's a few questions about what the cost is. I don't know if you're going to get to that in a few minutes.
Yeah, well, I typically on these, the pricing will come out in our pricing doc that we send. So the cost is $400 is the wholesale price. The retail price we recommend is around $800. And basically, like I said, when we collect the $400, we're currently reserving $100 of that for the social media promotion. So really, it's $300 production cost, $100 for the social media promotion.
And Jeff, related to that, someone asked, have you guys benchmarked around to see if your costs and your prices are competitive? I don't know if you can speak to that.
I saw, it's a great question, Adam. I was actually doing a little research on just infographics and posting them, and there was a blog post somewhere, someone said that a single infographic can cost up to $15,000. So I figured that when we were at 400, that we were probably pretty effective. But I guess the real answer to that is, you have to look at the infographic. We do infographics in our standard SEO programs. The way we've looked at the cost and the time around these things is that the ones we're doing as part of your standard SEO programs have 2 to 3 facts in it. So that is, and they typically are, you know, a 300 by 300 type pixel image, or maybe a little bigger than that. But they're typically not really long, scrolling, multi-part infographics. The BuzzGraphics we're doing here and the content we're putting in, these are significantly more involved. So I believe this is we're very on price on this one, if not under, honestly.
Yeah, I've got a couple comments in here. One person said this is very competitive. Another person said I currently sell these for $5,000 a pop. Here's another question for you, Chad. That's a good one to reflect on. Another question for you: Is there any flexibility on the $100 marketing? Can that be ramped up if they want?
Yeah, that's something that I think people. I figured we'd probably have people start to ask for, and yes, I think so. I mean, I think where I would see this going is if you got into a program, because if you think about how you could configure this for a larger client, this will be a service plan. And if you wanted one per month, you would add one BuzzGraphic service plan on. So then we would run it every month like that, and there would be a questionnaire and this whole process would repeat every time, so it would be custom. And what I could almost see us doing at some point is you might want to add on a paid search program with some extended budget that would promote them. So the question at this point, I don't have the answer, is if that's something that's in high demand, I would need to understand a little better from our clients. Is it just adding on a ongoing paid search program, which is in this case just running on Twitter and maybe Facebook, or does it really need to be tied to the individual infographic or the BuzzGraphic? So I think we can work through that as there's requests.
Yeah, I think you're right, Ted. I think it also depends on whether we're doing a newsjacking or an evergreen topic, because you may not, if it's an evergreen topic, you may want to drip advertising campaign running. I know, Chad, we do that for ourselves. We've got something we spend a lot of time on. The team's done a great job. The production value is very high. We want to keep advertising against that to get more return over time versus the news kind of spikes and disappears. Here's one last question for you that came in the chat window while you were talking. Is there an opportunity if we buy several of these as a package to do some sort of split testing to see which one gets the most engagement?
Well, you certainly would have reports on every one. I don't think like the issue here is that I think we've done now probably 60 of these things, maybe more, Adam. I don't know what your guess would be on how many infographics we've done at this point. What's your guess?
I was going to say at least 100 at this point. But
okay, well, so we'll say 100. We've done 100 of these things, and it's always interesting to me to see which ones pop. So sure, the way I would see that you would do that is you would just get on an ongoing program. You wouldn't ever do 2 at once and say, does idea A or idea B do better? It's just keep coming up with ideas and getting them out there because different people are looking for different things. So at this point, evolution of parenting, it's possible that this is more of an evergreen type of one. So it's possible that we advertise, spend the money, you get some engagement, but maybe you don't get a link. But then a week or it could be a month or 2 later, again, this is a blog post on your site, someone's looking for content like this, and you get a link out of it. So I don't think this is just like a one-time A/B ad testing type of approach. It's really more of a commitment to building out quality content. And if you kind of back up to where we are with SEO in general and everything that Google's talking about, this is sort of the whitest of white hat thing you could possibly do, right? You're creating super engaging, compelling content, posted on your website, and then you're paying to promote it, to Twitter and other, and even maybe at some point Google Plus. It's not there today, but you could pay it to promote to get people to engage with that content, and then ideally also spread it socially by building your following. Like in this case, we at least have one person who's added on as part of who's following this Twitter feed as a result of this infographic. Okay, so this is live. It's been live in the system. We've ended our sort of beta test because we've gotten enough samples here at this point. I don't know, in the future we may need a few more, and we'll open that back up. But at this point, this is live. We've got our process down. The delivery turnaround is about 10 working days at this point. The concept, the infographic probably is done before that, but so roughly 2 weeks. So, but what's really been the thing that's held us up is the thing that's held us up the most is really just how long it's taking to get feedback and approval on the different concepts. So I'm giving you a calendar elapsed time of 2 weeks, but if your guys are going to take 2-3 days to get back, or you need extra time to get sign off, it could be longer. So that's where we are today. Okay, the other big product that we're actually just rolling out today, a lot of people have been talking about this for a while, and we've been also beta testing it, is what we're calling SEO Link Outreach. And so we had talked about this as link neutralization before, but as we've beta tested a few different clients on it, we realized that it's really more than just neutralizing or getting the same links as your competitors. It actually it goes beyond that. So we wanted to make it mean more than just neutralizing current links. The way we're going to be positioning and taking this out to the market is that we're going to have 10 or 20-hour competitor analysis and outreach programs. So this would be 10 or 20 hours of an analyst who in the first month is going to do a detailed link analysis of the people ranking well on the most coveted keywords for that particular client. So I've got a little spreadsheet here at the bottom where we had, in this case, 3 keywords: VA disability attorney, veterans disability attorney, and veterans lawyer, and went out and looked at each of those different key rankings and pulled in the people who rank well on them. And then as you went through these different keywords, we scored them and said that, well, hey, veteranslaw.com has 100% visibility on this. Coy Law Disability Center has 100% visibility. And so we basically put those 3 into the bucket that we then did a further analysis. What we then do is we go get all the backlinks for the 3, or in some cases 4 if you've got a lot of time, competitors, and we then start manually inspecting all of those pages. So we rank order them from strongest to weakest link, and we actually deduplicate because in a lot of cases there's lots of links from the same website. We want to look at the strongest link from each website for each competitor, and then we go through those, and in some cases we end up with a list of 500. In some cases, I was working on one this morning, that we ended up with a list of 12,000. We don't go through all 12,000. We start at the top for the most powerful, and we kind of go down and get a feel for what the competitors are doing. And it's been interesting to look at this because I put a couple examples here that I've seen. We've looked at some B2B clients. We've looked at some plastic surgery clients. We've looked at a law firm. And what you see is that there are little patterns that emerge about what your competitors are doing. We saw in the plastic surgery space, one person who ranked very well had gone to all of the, and these aren't low-quality directories. I think these are like the Plastic Surgeon Directory of America, or Plastic Surgery Association of America has a directory, and on that directory, they had bought an enhanced listing which included a do-follow link to their website. So that might be, and they've done that with other similar directories of professional associations. Another one that popped up quite a lot, especially as you got sort of the bigger B2B type clients with bigger marketing budgets, were conference sponsorships. A lot of very good websites out there where people are exhibiting at the conference, and they're getting nice do-follow links back to their website. I've seen, again, depending on the category, like take the plastic surgeon, there are cases where suppliers to plastic surgeon or different techniques will link. They'll have their directory of who are authorized providers in a certain market. So there will be a link to their website from that supplier directory. Also links from other partners. So in the case of a B2B partner, if someone is reselling a product or doing something like that, they'll sometimes link back to say, you know, our provider or partner for this particular product is XYZ company. So there's a lot of different tactics that we saw. And in some cases, again, we initially approached this thinking, well, if we can go in and sort of get the same links as our competitor, that'll be fine. But what started to emerge is that there are cases where that's a possibility, but a lot of times you just sort of can get ideas of what the competitors are doing, and then you can make that your own. So what we'll do is we'll do that first month, we'll do the analysis, come back to you with a report that will tell you, here are the types of tactics we see the competitors using, and then here are some ideas that we have for how you can use your budget of hours next month and the month after for us to try to put together, to actually start to do the outreach to get those links. Now, on the outreach side, there will be some cases where, for example, the conference sponsorship, we're not going to be able to just, you have to actually be a sponsor. So we can make a recommendation, we can maybe find examples of conference sites, but at the end of the day, you and your client are going to be the ones who have to decide, okay, our competitor is ranking well because they have a much more aggressive conference schedule than us. That's not something you can solve overnight, but it's something maybe you can work on for the next year. Same thing with some of the suppliers and partners. We may not be able to actually contact a supplier and say on the client's behalf, but we could certainly give you the instructions and help manage the project, and so that you can tell your client, please contact XYZ. Again, if you're a hair salon, maybe you sell Paul Mitchell products or something like that, right? So contact Paul Mitchell and ask for, in their directory, a link back to you. Because if we just call and say, hey, we're working indirectly for this client, it's going to probably be a much harder sell, but that's the kind of approach. Now, there will be some cases, I think, where we can get the links. We can actually go and we can contact directories and kind of do it on behalf of you and your client. And so we'll have to kind of identify which ones we can do and which ones we're going to need you or the client to take a more proactive stance on. Okay, the last idea that we had here from a tactical standpoint is that there also, if you are creating, this dovetails well with BuzzGraphics, because if you're doing BuzzGraphics and you're creating really great information on your website, it does actually open up a new tactic for us to go look for other people who are mentioning and talking about that topic, and then reach out and say, hey, my client has actually created a really interesting BuzzGraphic that kind of answers the question or complements the content you've already created. So, again, every one of these things is going to be a little different. I really do think that BuzzGraphic and this link outreach are going to be very complementary. But as you can tell, it's an investment you're going to have to make. Prices on this, and again, this will be on the price sheet. Tend not to put them actually in the webinar here, but the pricing on this is basically it will be $4.99 and $9.99. So $4.99 for 10 hours and $9.99 for 20 hours, and that will be the pricing for this product.
A quick question for you, Chad, on just your analysis phase. How do you define which are the strongest links for a competitor?
Yeah, great question. So we've been using a combination of, for a long time we used Moz.com. In this particular case, we've actually found that it's easier to get the export from another company called Ahrefs, and they all have a similar metric where they're trying to approximate the value of a link. In the case of Ahrefs, it's a 0 to 100 scale. We know that Moz has Moz rank, which is a 0 to 10 scale. Ultimately, they're all about the same. They just start looking. They have a different methodology, but they're all trying to sort of reverse engineer PageRank, which is all about how many links are there to a particular page. So it's a combination of a domain authority and a page authority type of metric. So we're just sorting in that order, and we're starting our analysis at the top. And really, to me, in the case of Ahrefs, we're not looking at things towards the bottom of the list. We really just want to look at where are their powerful links coming from and go that route.
Okay, thanks. Another question then is understanding the power of the links, one. The other one is, do you do a cross-reference against links they already have? How detailed are we going? Are we going to say, no, you already have that link, no action recommended, or is that something we leave up to the client?
Yeah, so we will also pull out all of your root domain links. So then any link, we have a little indicator that we're putting on the spreadsheet, and this will come to you as a spreadsheet, an indicator that says you already have a link on this root domain. So it'll allow us to kind of not include that in the actual final analysis. But as I mentioned, what really the original idea was that this would come down to go get a link on this page. As we've explored it more, the ability to get a link on any page, because a lot of times these are old pages, so you're not going to get a link on every single page. What you start to see are what they're doing, what are the themes of their link building, and is there a way that you can use similar ideas, and in some cases get the exact link, but in other cases just use similar ideas to further your own SEO efforts.
Great, yeah, thanks. I think you're right. I think and I know we've looked at some of these, and as you explore what they're doing, you see some avenues for, kind of what you would call digital PR, to do a little outreach into places that you just may not have considered that would be awesome resources to try to earn a link and would be complementary because they have a similar audience to you. So it sounds very exciting.
Yeah. Right, so this is now live in the dashboard, and we're ready to do this. We're increasing the staff on our SEO analysis team and training everyone on how to do this right now. So we'll be watching this very closely. I think it's going to be a great product, and our goal is on the higher end plans especially, is to work to maybe do some trading at some point to add this in as a standard part of the service. So we'll be talking more about that as the weeks go forward. Okay. On to some really cool dashboard updates. So this was one of the well, there were a couple of feature requests that we took out of our last webinar, and we've already started working on these. One of the ones that was already in the works, but also seemed to have a good amount of interest out of the webinar, was the daily, weekly marketing report to replace our now defunct weekly keyword search report, because as Google went to encrypted search, we really weren't getting keyword referral data. So we put together this report, and this is sort of it's a multi-part screen, but I'm going to flip over and just show you an image shot I took of it so you kind of get a sense of it. This is an email report. It would be private labeled with your logo at the top, with your color palettes you've selected in the portal. So this is coming out of HubShout, but if this was yours, you would see your branding and your information. Now, you'll be able to select to have this report not send at all, or to send daily or weekly. And in this case, it also is much like the home tab of the dashboard. Depending on what features you're using of HubShout, it's going to adjust the data you see. So what I'm showing you today is sort of someone who's using all of the features of HubShout. But if you can imagine here that if you had analytics hooked up in the overview section, but were not using web to lead or phone calls, then you wouldn't see the phone call data or the sales lead data. Okay, so let me just run down this report. So this is showing, it starts off with an overview, and again, we're pulling information from analytics, our web to lead tracking, as well as phone calls, and then again, from analytics, we're showing a breakdown of visits by medium, so referral traffic, cost per click or CPC traffic, organic, on down the list, giving you a percentage breakdown, which I think is pretty nice. And for those of you in the past who've said, hey, always total my information, we even give you a total here of total traffic during that period. We're going to, if you're using SEO, we're going to show you your top keyword rankings. So we are actually going to pull out the best rankings you have on either Google or Bing, and they'll use both your target and your keywords of interest, and they'll show you the rankings here. You'll have the ability to click through and view details on any of these sections, which will take you back to your private label dashboard. We're going to have top entrances, which is a new metric we added to the SEO tab a little while back, last month, I think. And that again is just pulling right out where people are landing on your website from organic referrals. We then have a sales metrics section, which is showing you your most recent phone calls and most recent web leads. So if you have more, you can click through to view the details, but you're going to get a few of the most recent ones here. If you're running pay-per-click, it will have a section here with your pay-per-click goals and metrics. So it'll have your projected conversions or clicks if you're on a click goal. It'll have your projected cost, your actual spend. It'll have month-to-date cost per action, and then any impression data that we're pulling back as well. If you're using email marketing, it will show you the emails sent during the period, show you an open rate, number of emails added to a list, and the number of unsubscribes. If you're using the social monitoring service, it will show you then any recent social mentions. And then at the end, it will have an activity log that just shows you number of activities completed during that period. So this is, again, a very complete version of it. We've been testing people's different campaigns out there. A lot of them are using certain parts and not using other parts. So, you would have the ability to see. You'll have the ability to, of course, get the report and see what things you're not using that you could use. But this is we believe is a great report that will go out with your brand to your client, and it's one of those proactive account management touches, right? It's like they see this and they know I'm working with XYZ company, they're getting me visits, they're helping me track my sales leads, my phone calls, and it's all in a nice email report. We all know that people love things in email. They can even print this out. I know a lot of people like to print things out, print this out as well. So we think this is going to be a really, really nice feature to add in.
Yeah, nice job, Ted. I mean, I know, first of all, props to the marketing team. They've done an excellent job here. It came from a lot of feedback from the reseller community as well as our internal team, and this looks really spectacular. And I know I'm excited about it because, ever since the not provided Google encryption, people have been really scrambling with that's how I used to show value, and this puts sales leads and phone calls right front and center with visits, which of course with our changes way earlier in the summer, the cost of those phone calls is now bundled in, made it really easy to do. Our team does all the IT heavy lifting to get it plugged in. So I think we've got a really solid package, and we know that in the small business world, they're notoriously disorganized about how many calls do they get and tracking their sales funnel. Just that discipline's hard to do when you're busy running your shop and being the accountant and getting the dry cleaning and everything else that happens as a small business owner. So I'm pretty excited about what you guys have done here. I think this is going to be a big hit.
Great. And I want to show one other thing here. So, okay, so in terms of configuring the settings here, basically this is the campaign, a screenshot of the campaign detail screen in HubShout. And you'll see here on the basic tab there is a SEO traffic alert email area, which we will be renaming the weekly / daily marketing report or email marketing report. And you'll have the ability to select off, weekly, or daily. If it's on weekly or daily, then it's going to send, based on what you pick, to any user who has direct access to the account, or anyone who has group access to the account. So that email would go out to anyone, and then the only caveat there is if you on their user details settings area, if you've actually opted them out of emails, they will not get it, so it doesn't override that, but it will go to anyone else who has direct access or group access to the campaign. In terms of rollout on this, and actually I'll just go over this quickly. In terms of rollout, we're notionally working on some communications to everyone that we're announcing this feature today. We'll be also talking about the rollout plan in the forum, and we'll also be sending out a special email because this is what we're going to do. This is ready to launch, but we're going to wait to launch it next Thursday, so a week from today. And what we want to do is give everyone a chance to make sure that they have the option to go in and change this setting to off if they don't want this going out to their clients. Again, we don't we believe you should send it out to your client. But if for some reason you don't want this going out to your client, you'll have the option to turn it off. The setting may have already been configured in the past because we were sending out a different report, but we're going to be repurposing it to this new marketing report. So we're giving you a week, and it will go out. You're going to get an email from us. We're going to be filming a video on how to configure this setting, and we'll make sure you have a link to that. And then we'll also be announcing it in the forum just so everyone has enough communication time to make the changes they need. And Adam, that's all I have today. Is there any other questions that people want to hit?
A couple other people just wrote into the chat that they thought this report looked excellent and appreciated us for replacing the keyword data. I think that pretty much covers it.
Okay, great. Well, thanks everyone. And if you do have any follow-up questions, we'll post this webinar on the website as we always do. And then feel free to engage, ask questions as we post some of this other announcements in the forum. And we really look forward to people trying out some of these BuzzGraphics. I think it's a great product. It's really, really solid. I think it's looking really great. And then, of course, we have the link outreach, which I think is also going to be really good. So give us a shot on both of those, and we look forward to working with you on all these products.
Yeah, thanks for joining us today, everybody. We'll talk to you soon. See you in the forums.